Hi Helen, it's Sam again for the Yachting World logbook. Just going to go through your questions. Voice message this time because it's a little bit gnarly out here. So the first question is, how straightforward was the routing decision for you to go north? What did the different options look like from Vulnerable's position? And how did you find making a decision? Probably the first big race defining call in your first Vendée. It's a good question. I mean, to begin with, I was fairly happy I didn't want to go south. It just seemed like going into somewhere where you were a little bit exposed, dead end, where we were choosing kind of 2 or 3 days before we're in the system, so it meant if it degraded in forecast, you found yourself in an area where you basically had no choice but to go through it. And that bit was relatively easy. And what I found actually really hard was is how much. Because obviously the further north you go, the more miles you give up and the more you lose. Well, technically it depends a bit on the sea state, which I'll talk about in a minute. But kind of finding out how far do you go north, that was quite hard. Trying to figure out where do you put the limit at 35 knots, 30 knots, 25 knots, knowing that there's always a little bit of margin for error in there as well. So yeah, that was the difficult bit, and sea state as well. How much do you put the limit on wave height? Wave height depends on what angle it's coming from. Is it big waves, short waves, long waves? So yeah, I found that bit quite hard, but it's chosen now, and I'm going east. So and yeah, we'll wait and see how it pans out when everyone comes together at the end. Question number 2. What have conditions been like so far as the system comes over? So to begin with, it was flat water when the system was just coming in. It was flat water and wind, so we're making really good miles. We're at over 100% of the polar because you can really get the boat ripping. And then as we got deeper into it, the sea state started building up, and it got a bit more difficult. The first front came over, we had a squall of, I saw 48 knots in it. Fortunately, it came in the daytime, so I saw it coming and was able to furl up the head sail first and went through it mainsail only, so it was quite a civilized affair. And then after that, the wind hasn't really dropped below 30 knots since, and the sea state has just kept building. I think on the weather file, it's hard to measure waves, but on the weather file, we're at 5 meters now, and we're expecting 6.5 in the next few hours. So yeah, it's been right now we're struggling to hit 70% of the polar because the seas are so big that if you start going just a little bit fast, you get picked up on a surf and then you scream down a wave at 35 knots and just crash into the back of the next one, and you just think about what's going to break next. It's a fairly chaotic sea state. So here we go, we're going down a surf now. I tried to avoid these, but here we are at 25. Yeah, so it wasn't too big a surf, but it's fairly chaotic sea state, as I was saying. So there's a bit of slamming on the way down as well, just to slam nose dive. It's fairly stressful. And then now we're at 10 knots. So there you go. That's my daily life at the minute, or Waveley life at the minute. Not very easy. Not very easy to find the balance of not breaking the boat anyway. I'd be happy going 50 knots average all day long, but that's not really how it's working out. Even if that's what it looks like on the tracker. Number 3, what are you expecting in the next few days? What happens behind a depression like this, and how do you best position yourself after it? So we're basically being chased by a light wind patch, and the idea is to position ourselves in a way to not get gobbled up by it and not lose too many miles. So at the moment I'm not VMG downwind, I'm a little bit higher than that to get south again. And actually we're going to roll into some more wind, nothing major, but 20 to 30 knots again. We'll have all those light patches should come over me tomorrow, but without dropping below 15, and then going back north again, and there's another low, not so big, that's coming through, and I can hook into that and have some 20-30 knots and go do some due east with more like 3 meters sea state, so relatively calm. Here we go down another wave. So yeah, Question 4. I know you've had some niggles with your rudder system. How concerning are they, or is it just business as usual for Vendée running repairs? We've had a couple issues. So one was the down line broke, so the line holding the rudder down between the lock system and the rudder down broke, which is a bit tedious. But we had spare strops on board, so replaced the strop. Had to stop for half an hour or something to fix it. And then more tedious than that is the bearing. The rudders are hanging on 2 pins, and around each pin is a bushing, just to kind of bed it in and for it to slide around as a sort of bearing. And the bushings are slowly eating themselves up. We've basically been on starboard probably on port, sorry, so starboard rudder in the water for 75% of the race so far, and the bushings on the starboard rudder basically yesterday had eaten all the way through and starting to fall out. So we have spare bushings, so I've replaced them. Those bushings have done, obviously, we're at 8,000 miles of this Vendée plus 2 transatlantic races at the beginning of the season. So with a bit of luck, those ones I've replaced can go all the way to the finish. The other rudder they're starting to disintegrate, but it's nowhere near as bad yet, and I've got one more set of bushings. So yeah, it's not very comfortable. Keep an eye on it, and I don't really know what we can do to stop them from wearing down. Really, you can't drive less. So yeah, keep an eye on it, and starting to think about what backup plans could be if we get to that. But we got another set of bushings yet, and I changed the starboard ones yesterday, so wait and see. Has anything else particularly changed about the routine or how you're sailing the boat? I mean, yeah, we're definitely in Southern Ocean mode now. Definitely trying to take it easy, trying to slow down a bit. Well, I am anyway, and I'm not being overtaken, so I guess everyone else is as well. Yeah, just trying to pull a bit less on the boat and reduce damage. So yeah, I hope that helps, and I'll speak to you next time. Cheers.